The Imperial Tobacco Company was founded in 1910, and as the name suggests, its business was selling cigarettes. The name of the company was changed to India Tobacco Company Limited in 1970, and 4 years later it became ITC Limited. Since then, it has become a diversified conglomerate. Apart from tobacco, which still is the core business of ITC Limited, it is also now into hotels, oilseeds, paper packaging, agro-business, and even information technology. This diversification was led by its then chairman YC Deveshwar and then later on by his successor Sanjiv Puri, who took over in 2019 as the chairman and managing director. Mr. Sanjiv Puri is with us today to talk about his vision for the company, his vision for sustainability in the company, and the diversification plans of ITC Limited. Mr. Sanjiv Puri, it's a pleasure to have you here. It's a great opportunity for us to talk to you in PTI.
Thank you for having me. Yeah, it's a pleasure, in fact. Yeah.
Mr. Puri, you have been a ITC lifer for 4 decades, which is very rare among corporate leaders. Nobody sticks around in a company for so long. So what made you stay for so long and what's so unique about ITC?
So obviously, you end up staying for a life in an organization only when you enjoy what you're doing, you feel you're getting enriched. And that's the reason that I have been there and it's kept me going. So talking about what's unique to ITC, I think there are several facets that make this experience very fulfilling and enriching. First and foremost, right from the beginning, you're given a lot of freedom. There's a lot of empowerment to experiment, to learn, to do things, and a lot of encouragement to do so. The second is that you have a lot of opportunities to learn. Learn by being a good mentee, because there is the whole ecosystem that is supportive of guiding you, and equally through formal programs. And the third is that you get challenging assignments, challenging opportunities at each stage in your career. And what is unique is the entrepreneurial culture in ITC that comes through. We call those pioneers, professional entrepreneurs, that comes through the sense of empowerment and freedom, but also from the fact that we are creating a lot of businesses and categories grounds up, where you kind of start from conceptualizing to building the business case, and there are several opportunities to do that. And above that, I think it's also about the values, the culture. It's a warm and caring culture, yet professional and very meritocracy focused. But yes, very caring, very collaborative, so you enjoy engaging with people. I think these are some of the things that keeps you going and keeps you enjoying and makes you feel enriched, and therefore you continue with it.
You succeeded Mr. YC Deveshwar, who was synonymous with ITC. His name was synonymous with ITC. He was instrumental in transforming ITC from a tobacco major into a much more diversified company, FMCG, paperboards, hotels. Was it difficult to fill his shoes, or did it come very naturally?
So, okay, let me say that yes, because my predecessor had been chairman for 2 decades, and he has in his career made enormous contributions to ITC, some of which you alluded to. So definitely they were a big pair of shoes to fill up. But then, first of all, ITC is an institution. It is more than any individual. And in ITC, we say it's about collective leadership. And so it's an institution, it's a collective leadership. So the journey has to go on. We start from where we got in, and build on it. And that's how the journey goes on.
Oh, you haven't done too badly either. In the last 4 years that you've been at the helm, the company has grown tremendously, and I think Mr. Deveshwar would be really proud to see what you have achieved. What are the future plans?
Okay, thank you for saying that. So, okay, our plans are, captured in what we call the ITC Next strategy, which we defined several years back. So this strategy seeks to define the next phase of growth and profitability for the enterprise. It is about making the enterprise future ready in the context in which we are operating. And the context in which we are operating since the last few years is very different from what it was before that. It's a very volatile world. It's a very uncertain world. The impact of climate change is much more felt than it was in the past. It's more competitive than even it was earlier. So many dimensions have changed over a period of time. And there are several challenges across the world. So in that context, we said that what is important, and particularly in the context of organizations getting larger, was that organizations must remain nimble and consumer-centric. And to do that, we had to strengthen our empowerment, define the degrees of freedom at each level, and create an organization where people had more and more ownership of product market clusters. So that was the strategy of the organization. The next piece is, of course, the business of the organization. What will be your set of services and products that you will be taking onto the market? And to be future ready, we defined the 3 axes. While, of course, we keep on growing our core, and growing the core itself is a mega opportunity in India given the per capita incomes and per capita consumption levels and also the penetration levels, then use the core to address adjacencies. And at the same time, start creating categories of the future. So you already have, you are continuously contemporizing and refreshing and building your portfolio, right? And just to exemplify, business like a paperboard. So our core is value-added paperboards, and we continue to invest, we continue to grow. We've, added capacity of about 33% in the last, few years. The adjacency is around using that paperboard to develop plastic substitutes through proprietary coatings. And the new vector of growth is really sustainable packaging platform 2, which is again a molded fiber, but it's a molded fiber, it's not a paperboard, right? So if you can imagine a cup, a paper cup, some cups do have poly coatings inside. So we replaced with a bioseal. That was the adjacencies. But then the lid on top, it's a complex shape of plastic. So when you replace that with a molded fiber highly engineered product, that is a new area that we are seeding. Or if you go to the consumer business, if you look at a brand called, say, Ashirwad, it's a very well-known atta brand. So the core is atta itself. Atta, there is multigrain atta, there is, some specialized atta and so on and so forth. Then you go into adjacencies. Now, what are the adjacencies? Adjacencies are frozen breads. There are other staples in the kitchen because Ashirwad is a very strong center of plate brand. So it's vermicelli, it is besan, it is rava, and so on and so forth. It is ghee. So these are adjacencies in staples category. So you're creating adjacencies. And if I look at a foods business, what are the categories that we are developing for the future? For example, we are developing the frozen snacks under ITC MasterChef. So that's something of the future. So that's how we continuously contemporize our portfolio and create newer drivers of growth. And we also use these capabilities to create new businesses for the future. So we brought the capabilities of hotels and foods business to create a food tech business. We started during actually COVID period. So we now have about 40 cloud kitchens and 4 different brands and going to expand. Okay, so this is the business side of it, but then each business also has to be competitive besides keeping the portfolio contemporary. So we defined the tools for competitiveness: digital, sustainability, innovation, supply chain. So these were the areas where specific interventions needed to be made to become contemporary.
So basically, you're saying that it is dangerous to rely entirely on legacy business. Keep innovating, keep looking for adjacencies and find new ways to leverage your legacy business.
Yes, enterprise strength, absolutely.
ITC has been for a major part of its existence known as a tobacco company. It started off as Imperial Tobacco Company, went on to become Indian Tobacco Company Limited, then ITC, finally ITC. When you took over in 2019, you formulated what you mentioned as the ITC Next Vision. How much of that has already been accomplished and what remains to be done? And by when do you think you will be able to complete all that?
So I think this is a journey. This is a journey. It's an ongoing journey. I wouldn't say that we have kind of anywhere near completed that. Our vision is much more bolder. We want to be a very large player in every segment that we are operating. Besides, we want to be a leader in every segment. In some segment, we are leaders. In some segments, we are not. But the idea is to be a leader, and the idea is to be a very large-scale business. And so I think it's still work in progress. It's a journey. Of course, we have made appreciable progress. I mean, if you look at it if you measure it from the financial metrics, whether it's the size, the profitability, I think all of that we have made progress over a period of time. ROCE has improved tremendously. Our margins have improved tremendously. And, if even you look at our share of non-traditional business or non-cigarette EBITDA margin has also improved substantially over a period of time, right? But we are continuing to invest. 80% of our capital employed and 90% of our employees are in newer businesses. So we're continuing to invest for the future. So the journey is on. I think it's a long journey. We have a long way to go.
So you demerged hotel business very recently. It's still not yet listed. So what is the kind of valuation that you're looking at, and by when do we see ITC Hotels Limited being listed on the bourses?
So, I think our belief is that the role of management is to run the business well, make the businesses contemporary and future ready, create value, and we let the market determine the valuation. So I will not get into valuations per se. Of course, there is this data point available on the trading on the initial day before, so that has given some indicator on this is but more for price adjustment. But how much valuation will come in the market, I leave it to the markets to determine.
I've seen 150 rupees to 300 rupees.
Our role is to create value, to make the businesses competitive. That's our role. And when will it list? I think it should list in the near future. I think by say within the next few weeks, within 3-4 weeks, it should list.
End of February or?
No, it has to be before that. It has to be before that.
Mid-February.
Before that, it has to. You see, there's a regulatory period of 60 days. Before that, it will list. Yeah.
Now, ITC Hotels was just one of the businesses under the ITC umbrella. You've got so many other businesses. Some investors seem to be unhappy that you have so many businesses because it could be hampering the growth potential of other businesses at the expense of the ones that are progressing. So, do you plan to demerge some more companies within ITC?
So, I would think that every stakeholder should be happy with the way that we have created newer businesses because, an analyst also said that the portfolio in FMCG we have created, which is an addressable market of 5 lakh crores, has been created at an investment of 1.7x of the top line. Whereas if one was to buy it, it would have been 4 to 5x. So it's been created very efficiently. And also, there is hardly any example, or I'm not aware of any example, where in such a short period of time, such a large FMCG business, right, in foods, we are amongst the largest now in the country, has been created. And that has happened because we have brought to the table the enterprise strengths. And we realized this when we diversified also, that when you are getting into a new area, you must bring something unique onto the table. And that's where the role of enterprise strengths comes in. So if you look at a foods business, we benefit from the traditional distribution. We benefit from the expertise of chefs and hotels. We benefit from good quality sourcing through agri-business. And we benefit through our R&D center, the ITC Life Sciences and Technology Center. So all of these come together. And these are the institutional strengths that were used to create the foods business. So we have created this food tech business. and the food tech business has scaled up with very, I would say, comparatively much lower investments than there are examples of standalone such cloud businesses scaling up, right? So I think it also leads to strengthening competitiveness because you bring something unique on the table. Two, it is also efficient utilization of resources and capital of the enterprise. So I think it's a good way to do it. And now a question of how do you keep them together? What would be the strategy of organization? Now that comes from the business context. It's about, strategy of organization is about translating or executing the business strategy. So from there will flow the strategy of organization. And you look at the competitive context, you look at the maturity of the business, the opportunity, the challenges, and then you decide what is best to create enduring value and to be competitive and to stay ahead of the curve. And that is what determines this. And these are things, we review constantly because with changing circumstances, with size and so on and so forth, some of these pros and cons, the equation may change. So as and when, something has to change, we will change. We are not wedded to anything, right? But at this point of time, I think the arrangement we have is working well. And we have, as I said, a lot, although we are big, I think we have a lot more to be accomplished. And I think the benefits of synergy right now certainly outweigh the benefits of separateness.
FMCG business of yours, ITC, is EBITDA positive for a long time now. Do you see a scenario where FMCG business will overtake your legacy tobacco business at some point of time in terms of revenues as well as profits? And related to that, will you spin off FMCG business into a separate subsidiary or a listed entity?
The second question I already answered. Okay, on the first one, yes, in the last several years we've been increasing margins. We also said that we will increase margins by about 80 to 100 basis points every year. And we are doing this on the back of premiumization, on the back of investments in digital, the benefits of ICML, which are strategically designed, and operating leverage. All these are giving us these margins, and we believe that this trend will continue. When I say 80 to 100, it's not linear. It's not that every year. But when you look at it over a medium term, that kind of average figure should come. And it will continue that way. Again, these business lines are not straight lines. So there could be some ups and downs at some point of time. But as a trend, this is how it will sustain. And this is a sector that has got huge headroom to grow. The penetration levels, the per capita consumption in India is very minimal. It's a sector that has got a lot of headroom to grow. It will grow certainly at a faster rate. And also I think margins will improve. So it'll be a good run both from bottom line and top line. And it is quite possible, though it is not for me it is not in our business objectives to compare one versus the other. Each one has to grow to its full potential.
Yeah, Mr. Puri, when you took over the leadership role at ITC, you took a strategic decision to exit from the lifestyle retailing business. And at the same time, companies like Tata and Reliance were entering into that. Foreign companies were entering into the apparel business. In hindsight, do you think there could have been a mistake on your part to exit from this, or do you have plans to come back into it?
It was a strategic decision was made. And the strategic decision that was made was fundamentally because, one, of course, at that time that business had not delivered the desired result. But that trigger is only a trigger for a review, not a trigger for an exit. Exit happens on more fundamental reasons because this was not leveraging any of our enterprise strengths. The supply chain, the distribution chain, I think channels, everything was very different. And there is enough and more opportunity in FMCGs where our traditional strengths could be brought to bear and could make a difference. And therefore, we felt it makes greater sense for ITC to invest behind and build up in areas where we can bring something unique to the table.
It is not worth chasing.
No, not worth chasing. So, not worth. Our resources and attention is better deployed. We'll get better value there. you know, when I spoke about this brand called ITC MasterChef Frozen Snacks. Where would you have the advantage of not only the product development, but the chefs also, and chefs being able to recognize how a roti in the south is different from the north and how it is different from the east, and therefore you design your wheat flour to suit that market. Where would that insight come from? We have a product called the paneer pakoda. It's a very simple product. Everybody in India knows it. Everybody has eaten it. It took a long time for developing, because our chefs only gave it a clean chit when a frozen one tasted like a fresh one.
How long did that take?
It took quite some time, quite some time to get that technology and process right to do that. Right. So that's exactly the benefit you get. Or you look at frozen breads that we have launched. Again, the trick was that they should taste as good as when you make it at your homes. So that's the innovation. Right. So all this, unique strengths that come into the enterprise, I think that happened because of our synergy.
So high taxes on cigarettes is a matter of debate for long now. India is world's second largest consumer of cigarettes, but the legal cigarettes, the tax cigarettes, are only just 9% of the counterfeits are huge in number. Is there a case that the high taxes may be deterring legal cigarettes to coming into market and also encouraging the counterfeits and the illegal imported ones?
Yeah, absolutely. It's because of the high tax arbitrage that illicit flourishes. Illicit is, you see, of course, in India, there are many formats of consumption of tobacco besides cigarettes. And illegal cigarettes are today equal to 1/3 of the legal industry. Other formats are much bigger because I think the taxation level, there is also a lot of difference. I think there is very clear recognition amongst policymakers. We have seen greater stability over the last few years. That has certainly helped the legal industry to claw back and not shed volumes further to illicit. Because what happens when taxes go up? All that happens is that the legal industry shifts to illicit industry. And it is, in fact, if you look at the taxes as a per capita of GDP, now India is amongst the highest. It will be 13 times higher than US, several times higher than many other countries. And so very clearly, I think the data is very clear that high taxes have led to the flourishing illicit industry. And we also see the reports of seizures and raids almost every day. It's there in the media. But seizures and raids are only able to discover a small percentage of the extent of the problem. But in the recent past, I think along with deterrent action, the stability is certainly helping the legal industry claw back.
So according to you, what percentage or what volumes of illicit cigarettes would be floating in the Indian market?
So the estimates from various research reports that exist is that it is about 1/3 the size of illegal is illicit.
In terms of number of cigarettes, would be how much?
So this would be about, I think, 26, we can get you the figure, get you the 26 billion or so, something like that.
I think we should extinguish and stub out this conversation about cigarettes for now and move to a more interesting topic, the crown jewel, apart from your tobacco industry, the crown jewel of your business, which you are going to demerge, the hotel business. You have 140 properties with about 13,000 keys. And you have set out a target to achieve 200 plus hotels with 18,000 room keys. How do you plan to achieve that? And is there any specific segment that you want to foray in?
So, a few years back, we had restated our strategy for hotels, moving to a more asset-right strategy. Earlier, we were, I think, relatively more asset-heavy strategy. So we moved into an asset-right strategy. And it is with that strategy that we are building, our hotel expansion of our hotels chain. We have beefed up our portfolio also. We added 2 new brands, Mementos by ITC Hotels and Story. So today we have at the luxury end, we have ITC hotels and Mementos by ITC hotels. Mementos is a leisure destination, leisure resort. And in the 5-star, we have Welcome Hotel. And then we have boutique properties, which are again leisure, which are like Story, business hotels under Fortune. And then we have heritage properties, Welcome Heritage, which are small hotels. So we have a portfolio of properties and we will grow across the portfolio, but we do expect the upper upscale to grow more. So our portfolio from a profile perspective over a period of time will be richer than what it is today. You will have greater percentage of room in upper upscale. That's the idea. And I think we're getting very good traction. In the last 24 months, we've opened 26 hotels. So we have a target of 200. I've said to the team that it has to read as at least 200.
Overseas, which countries?
So as far as overseas is concerned, we've been India-centric and bulk of this will also happen in India. But we've started to go beyond India. We have a hotel in Colombo. We have one in Nepal. There is one more in Nepal that we have signed up for. And over a period of time, we will expand more focused on proximal market, West Asia. And over time, we will look at beyond that also. Or if specific interesting opportunities come out, we will explore those as well.
And this would be a combination of ITC owned and managed as well as joint venture franchisee.
It would be, I guess, more managed and franchisee, more managed franchisee, and I would say even maybe there could be some joint investment.
But the competition is going to be immense because the Western hotel chains are so well established and they have mastered the game. How difficult would it be for ITC?
We have to, no doubt, in a competitive world, bring out our unique proposition to the table. And I think ITC Hotels has much to offer. We have iconic cuisine. And this is a cuisine that is acknowledged globally. You know, I'm told a lot of foreigners who come to India want to first book a table at the Bukhara.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay. So we have iconic cuisine. We have iconic service standards. I think we're well known for that. Our hotel chain also stands out for its green credentials. All ITC prefixed hotels have emissions that are below the Paris 2030 agreement targets. The world's first 12 LEED certified net zero carbon hotels are all ITC hotels. The world's first 5 net zero water hotels are also ITC hotels. So there are consumers today. I would say today it's a little bit of an undercurrent, but how an undercurrent becomes a mega trend, sometimes it's a point of inflection. And I think we are nearing that time. Consumers want to opt for companies and products that are greener. And I think these are some of the things that we bring onto the table. And these differentiators will help us compete successfully wherever we go.
You've spoken several times about sustainability. Is that the legacy that you want to leave?
There is no doubt about it that we as an enterprise very clearly recognize that we are there to serve society. Businesses are there to serve society. And for us is about responsible capitalism. And that is about not only creating, shareholder value, but also creating value for society, also creating value for the environment. And sustainability, therefore, is a very important pillar of our strategy. It's right at the core of our corporate strategy and not dissociated from it. And I think as far as sustainability is concerned, or the environment is concerned, the E part of it, I must mention that whilst decarbonization, energy transition is well understood and there's a lot of talk about it, I think the subject that we need to, or we have been focusing a lot more, and that is something so very important today, is this whole area of adaptation. Because for several decades, the world is going to get hotter, extreme weather events will get more severe, natural resources, even precious natural resources like water, will be short in many parts of the world. So unless we deal with this issue of adaptation on how we are going to live in the hot new world, I think it will become a problematic society. Food and nutrition will become a crisis. So things like climate smart agriculture, water stewardship, rainwater harvesting, climate risk modeling to take mitigative steps across physical assets, across agriculture value chains. I think these are important facets that we have also built into our sustainability strategy. I thought I'll mention this because this is something that is very unique to our sustainability strategy.
You mentioned Mr. Deveshwar earlier. You said he had very big shoes that you had to fill, but you filled them very well. Eventually, there'll be a time when you will have to pass on the baton to the next generation leader. Where would you want to see ITC to be at when you hand over?
I would like to certainly, my whole, the very most important facet as far as I'm concerned is about making the enterprise future ready, preparing the DNA of the organization, the talent in the organization to fight the complexities of the future. I think that's a very, very important area. And of course, I'd like to see it attain leadership in many more areas than it is today. I'd like to see it, of course, multiply in size many times. I'd like to see our newer businesses like the IT business, which is also making great amount of progress, a much larger player. So and of course, along with this, it has to retain or even better the DNA of quality first. Because it's not about leadership just in terms of size or profitability. It has to be first leadership in quality of the product or service that we offer. And that's another area that I would like to see us outdistance everybody more and more.
Can you look at your crystal ball and look beyond the company? And I want you to give us an outlook of the Indian economy. It's right now, the growth is sort of slowing down. It's not so encouraging. But where do you see India in the next 10 years or so?
So let me say that the journey of economic transformation is never linear. I think India is in a very good spot. The macros are very good, and it is so because of purposeful policy interventions, a host of them over several years taken by the government at the center and some at the states also. In the new world order, which is characterized by new policies on geoeconomics and geopolitics, I think the world is looking towards supply chain diversification, supply chain resilience. Because of climate emergency, world is looking at energy transition. Digital transformation is another area that the world is going through. Food and nutrition security are becoming global concerns. Now, in all of these areas, I think India can play a pivotal role because India has the talent, India has the scale, India has the requisite natural resources, and India's focus on these strategic sunrise sectors like energy transition. We have their green hydrogen vision and their investments in many areas as far as energy transition is concerned. So all of these are opportunities for us. And as supply chain diversification or resilience is looked at, newer alternatives for some of these areas also need to be developed. So these are huge opportunities for India. So I think that it's a great time for India. It's India's moment in history, and I think the future of India holds a lot of promise.
Viksit Bharat by 2047.
Yes, that's very much achievable. Of course, we have to all collectively work for it, whether it's civil society or private enterprises or policymakers, because it's a combination of innovation, technology. It's also a combination of policy reform. So everybody has to work together.
Mr. Puri, we're just a couple of weeks away from the budget. Just when the rural consumption was rising, the urban consumption has started to weaken. What is the industry's wish list, particularly ITC? What do you want the finance minister to do to boost that consumption? And
I had occasion in my other capacity to speak at length on this subject. So I think nothing really more to add to that at this moment. So I'll give this one a pass.
This one you should not give a pass. I'm going to ask you about this. There's a debate recently on the work-life balance, and the L&T chairman created some controversy by saying that Indians should work 90 hours a week. This came after Mr. Narayan Murthy said 70 hours a week. Where do you stand? 70 or 80 or 90 or 60?
So, okay, I know that has been debated a lot, but let me tell you the philosophy with which we look at it in ITC. To just explain the point, now if you were to ask a mason who is, putting a brick to build, somebody may say that I'm putting this brick. Somebody may say I'm building the wall. Somebody may say I'm part of this whole team that is building this castle here. And the outlook of a person who says I'm building the castle is very different. So the way we view it in ITC, it's really about vision, values, and vitality. So we take a lot of effort in making sure that everybody understands the vision of the enterprise, feels a part of the vision, and wants to contribute to make the vision a reality. And we enable vitality by our processes, by the resources we provide, by the freedom to act that we provide, the empowerment that we provide, which is very different, and very clear goals for individuals to achieve. And that these are the primary things that we look at. And we have a lot of flexibility also. 2 days a week you can work from home. So it's not so much about, really monitoring each individual's number of hours. It's more about enabling individuals, helping them to actualize their potential, and then reviewing what goals people have achieved.
So it's irrelevant to put a number to the work ethic.
We don't do that. We would rather like people to be part of the journey and feel passionately involved and feel the urge amongst themselves to make a difference to the enterprise. So that's how we look at it.
Thank you very much, Mr. Puri. It's been wonderful talking to you.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.